Hello, everybody, and welcome to another one in our series, Breaking Down Barriers. My name is Chris Igwe, and I share with you some thoughts and ideas which are inspired by my book, Breaking Down Barriers, My Journey from a Small African Village to the World Stage. Breaking Down Barriers is about taking a thought and an idea and explaining it in terms of how I see the world, helping you on your own journey, and then I punctuate it with a story that allows you to relate to it in a way which hopefully makes it even more clear and powerful. This particular chapter, the topic, the title that I gave it, is one that I love dearly. I love dearly because it is something we very often get confused about. And the title is very simple, but I think very deep if you think about it. Choose between being liked or respected. Choose between being liked or being respected. There's a world of difference between the two. Okay, let's build this up. Let's just start from the very beginning. The beginning is that we all want and need to be liked. Even more importantly, we need to be loved. We may say to ourselves, I don't need love. I'm a big macho guy. I don't need to be loved. Well, we all do. If you say that, you're in denial. You're denying the very fundamental element of the human condition. We not only want to be loved, we need to be loved. Because through love, it fuels us. It gives us strength. It motivates us. It drives us forward. It helps us grow and all those things. When we're first born and the mother holds the baby, or the father, as I've done with my children, just being close to them and just holding them, giving them that warmth, that security, that love. We all need it. So maybe it's not love all the time, but there is a parallel there. So as we grow older, yes, we want to be loved by our parents, we want to be loved by our friends, our close friends in particular. Whether you're a man or a woman doesn't matter. In today's age, men hug each other. Women hug each other. There's no taboo around that. It's very important to have that tactile connection, that embrace, that moment of just being in somebody else's arms. So we all need love. But let's move away from that. That's the foundational piece. Let's move away from that, but it's still similar. See, my point here is we all want to be liked, don't we? It's very unusual. There are some people who don't really care one way or the other. And I'll be perfectly honest, there are situations where I haven't cared. I haven't cared for a very different reason. I haven't cared because I don't really care what somebody else thinks of me in a situation. I don't need to be liked to do the job that I do and do extremely well. But let's leave that aside. There are not many people who are like that. Those who are just purely driven. And you can think of a couple in business, in life, in politics today who just don't care. That is very different. And because they don't care, they're not worried whether they're liked or not, because that's not what drives them. But I want to stay within the realms of what we can relate to here. We all want to be liked. Make no mistake about that. But at the same time, in being liked, we also need to understand that sometimes in life and sometimes in the world, private or business, being liked isn't what it's all about. You're not there to be liked. You are there to do a job. You are there to achieve something that you've been asked to do in a corporate environment, for example. But we all want to be liked. And then let's extend the question. So what about being respected? Because you see, when you're liked, for example, you assume that liking or being liked in a company gets you a promotion, gets you a new assignment, gets you more money. It doesn't. The two do not correlate. And so just staying within the work environment, I have a deep personal experience, which is why I wrote about this as a topic, which, by the way, and I'll come to the story in a minute, but months after my book was published, I was at a meeting in Paris, and somebody from Belgium who's a lawyer came up to me and said, "Oh, Chris, I bought your book." I'd never met him before, but great to know. He obviously knew me from the photo, from the book and social media. He said, "I bought the book," and he said, that chapter that you did on being liked or respected, for me, that flicked a switch. I'd never seen it or understood it. He'd been challenged around a very niche area of the law which he is in. And he had always wanted to be liked as a result of what he was informing his clients about. And then through the book, thankfully through this chapter and other parts of the book, he understood. It's not about being liked. It's about being respected. And he found peace in that. And for me, that's just one of the reasons why I love getting testimonials and stories around the book. And I've been accumulating these, which is fantastic. So to my story. The reason I wrote this story in relation to this topic is because I was hired, headhunted if you like, but by a chairman of a very big company. At the time, they were arguably number one or number two in their specialty in Europe. And the chairman rang me. I was living in Strasbourg, rang me on my direct line, don't know how he got it, and said, "Mr. Rigwe, you don't know me, I'm so-and-so, and I want to hire you for this position." Long story short, because I didn't really embrace it straight away, I was really surprised and shocked, but he said, "I've seen how you behaved on a different project where we were a part of that, which was Stansted Airport. I was construction manager." He said, "I liked the fact that you were tough, you were very demanding, and you got the teams going and so on." So I was very flattered, very honored. He said, "I want you to join my company." I did, months later. And I replaced somebody else who was in the business. He wanted me specifically because that project that they had just acquired, a big international and eventually became globally known project, would have taken the company down. It had overextended itself. And the current guy that was in charge was clearly not delivering. That's the backstory. When I came in to join that Swiss company, I moved. Really hard work. The point here that I want to say is, when you replace someone, and I've done that time and time again as I've been headhunted from one business to another, I was not the most welcome, let's say. That's putting it mildly. When you come in and you replace someone, it's not easy, especially as this guy that preceded me had been there for many years and the team liked him. I had to come in, I had to shake things up, I had to change things around, and I had to save a project that was going south. My chief designer, who was a lady, we had a very tough relationship. Tough because she was very close to my predecessor and quite frankly was keeping it. She didn't shy away from expressing the fact that she and I were never really going to be buddies. She never said it, we never really spoke about it, but it was a very cold and difficult relationship going forward. But we had this project. She was my chief designer and she ran a design team. She needed to get it together and needed to relate to me. So the things I was just not going to accept. So we had that understanding. Job's got to get done. We're never going to be bosom pals, but this work has to be achieved. I tried flowers, I tried chocolates, I took her out for lunch. Nothing was going to change. And I did that just because that's the way I interact with my teams. I've always taken my teams out. We've had lunch, we've had drinks, we've had a good time. We've had maybe something in the office afterwards just to break the ice and get to know each other. That's been my style. So this was nothing new. But she wasn't having any of it. At the end of the day, that particular situation, as difficult, I'll be honest, and as challenging as it was, it allowed me to write this chapter. It allowed me to think through it and say, yes, I wanted to be liked. And to be fair, others in the team liked me. I got on well with her number one, so 2 levels down from me and one other person in the team. We got on really, really well. So it was just a she and me thing. But the team I got on well with and all the rest of it. So I wanted to be liked. But when the chairman calls you in and says, you take over this team, everybody knows that I'm the boss. Everybody knows it's got to get done. and we've got to achieve our objectives and targets that I set out for them, that the company set out for me. But I learned very quickly that it is never, ever going to be about being liked. It's about being respected. And whilst we never had the conversation between she and I know in her way that she respected me because we got it on track. There were things that were totally wayward that I changed, adjusted, reworked. I used my management and international skill, renegotiated deals and terms and contracts, got rid of some subcontractors and just really restructured the whole thing. We went through some tough times with the client, tough times with the architect on the project, but we came through. So I know that I was respected, but I was never really liked. And if I was, she never showed it. And that's okay. So I want you to make that distinction between being liked and being respected. Do you want both? Absolutely. Should you want both? Absolutely. It's normal, it's human. But do not allow the like to overpower the respect. That you want to be so much liked that you are not respected. That is not acceptable. No way. I will never compromise on that, and you shouldn't either. Go for the respect. If the like comes along, fantastic. If not, stay there, get respected, do what you want to do, move on, go to the next stage. But always look to be respected. This is not just in business, but anything else that you do. If you're out with your friends, for example, and your friends say, okay, it's a Friday night, midnight. I know this may not relate to the youngsters anymore. I know with my kids, it just doesn't make any sense. But to my generation, it's midnight. I've got to go home now. I don't need to go from one bar to another, one discotheque to another. Maybe once in a while, it's okay. But be strict and be clear. Will they stop liking you? I doubt it. Will they call you all sorts of names? I'm sure. But you want them to respect you for the choices that you make and the decisions that you make, where you're not being dragged along by a herd, because that's the most dangerous place to be in. And that's an important one to think about in terms of the kind of social environment. Are you able to say no because you want them to respect you for that no? Because that's critically important as well. Anyway, I could go on, many other stories and many other examples in my own life about this particular chapter, about choosing between liked and being respected. I will always go for being respected. I want to be liked as well, absolutely. And I do my best to be liked using all the strategies, skills, and interpersonal skills that I have, but always go for being respected, because that will be your success factor and you'll be known for that and appreciated for that. And of course, you'll be respected for that. Please feel free to like, comment, and share. And of course, come back for other videos in the same vein as I work through my book, Breaking Down Barriers. So until the next time, thank you.